Beto Paredes here again in our media center, and I have a special guest here today, someone who has been working with dealerships actually since 1993. So we're talking 24 years in the business, has really got a solid perspective on what allows a dealership to be successful, someone that has actually taken a very different view from a lot of the other trainers, working all the way from general management all the way through to sales management, F&I, and the whole dealership. When they work with this gentleman, really gets a full opportunity to become more successful and do better as a dealership. I have today Mark Tewart here on the phone with us from Tewart Enterprises, Inc. Mark, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. I'm glad to actually get on the phone with you here and excited that you're actually coming to our show. Everyone, he will be at our show September 6th, 7th, and 8th in Dallas, Texas at the Hyatt Regency. You got to come on down and see Mark. And of course, don't hesitate to get a hold of him. We're going to talk about some stuff today that's going to make you want to get on the phone and get a hold of him immediately, because this is something that's going to be great for your dealership. So Mark, tell me from a general point of view, what is it that your company does for dealerships?
We work with dealerships and assist them with both individual and organizational development to help them explode their sales and their profits. We do that through a combination of three things: training, coaching, consulting, and deliver that in the different departments in the dealership, from sales to management, F&I to service writers, etc. And so we take a look at their whole business and try to help them improve every single area of the business, from either the dealer, general manager, to the salespeople.
Tell me, how important is it to take that holistic point of view and make sure that when you're working with the dealership, that every department's actually engaged in the model?
To me, it's absolutely essential, and what uniquely sets us apart. And this happened somewhat by accident. Two reasons. Number one, what I found, I started out as a trainer, and then I was doing seminars. I was working with salespeople, and I found out that just wasn't enough. So I started working with the management, because how can you work with salespeople if you're not working with the management? You're not quite on the same page. And then I went a little deeper, and I found out, use a time-worn phrase, but there's basically 4 Ps to a car dealership or any business on earth. You have people, process, your product, which is your inventory, and your positioning. And to effectively move the needle and really get big results, you have to work on all 4 rather than just one thing, which is just sort of a piecemeal effect. So we began to work with the dealer in all of these areas and started to see even much better results than when we were just training salespeople.
That makes a lot of sense. And again, mainly because if you're working with salespeople and you know that their management is in their business, meeting with them on a daily basis, it's really got to come from the top down to really be effective. And that really kind of makes it to where things aren't disconnected. So tell me a little bit about what it's like to work with you on site. So if we've got a dealership, they called you, they need you to come in, they're interested in working with you. Talk to me a little bit about that experience that a dealer is going to get with your company.
Well, the first thing we do is a little unique in that we decide whether we're a good fit for them and that they're a good fit for us. Sometimes that's not the case. So it takes almost 2 hours on the phone going through every part of their business that we can to get a complete snapshot. And at the end, I'll generally say, okay, here's what I see, or here's what I've heard, here's what I think the game plan would be to effectively reach your goals, and here's what the cost would be. And what we do at that point is we come into the dealership, but also they have access to our online training modules for sales and management, etc. And when we come in, it's a combination of a lot of different things, as I mentioned: training, coaching, consulting. So part of it's classroom training for sales and management. We always start off with the managers first, and then we work with the salespeople. And then after that, we're actually integrated into the departments, working with the salespeople, the managers, the F&I people, the internet and BDC. So we're holistically trying to get involved in the business rather than just doing classroom training. We try to use many different modalities and get involved in the business to affect some change. In other words, rather than just talking about it, we try to also be about it.
That makes a tremendous amount of sense. So 24 years in the business, you've probably seen a lot of dealerships in great need of training. You've probably seen a lot of turnarounds in that time. And because of all of that seasoned experience, what do you think a dealer can expect as far as results from the time you guys start working with them till, let's say, the moment that you feel that your training has been put in place?
Generally, what we see first that happens is we have to build a base. And often when dealerships are maybe not performing at their highest level, and listen, great dealerships are often the first to call. It's not even the people that are underperforming or having a hard time. It's often people that are doing well always want to do better. But to answer your question directly, the first thing we do is try to establish a base. Because often when I see training done for sales, to give you an idea, I see a lot of it on the 50 closes, or I'll see how to handle objections. And that stuff is very, very, very important. But it's like building a house with a crappy foundation and trying to build a mansion. But what happens is very quickly that house is going to fall down and not be stable without a great foundation. So we look at everything across the board from their processes of the way that they do things, and expectation-wise, to answer your question, we often see gross profit go up very quickly, and then it's followed by sales of units, and often used cars comes first, and then we get a tailwind with the new. And it varies according to dealerships, but we've done a turnaround with a dealership that was out of business selling basically nothing. I mean 25, 30, 40 cars a month that did 325 cars a month a few years later, and we did it solidly. We recently did a turnaround with a dealership, same thing, was almost out of business, and a year later we have tripled the sales through some really good work by the dealer and his team. And then we've had dealerships that were selling massive amount of cars that were some of the larger stores in the country, but they were able to increase their sales by varying amounts. And we've yet, that I can think of, had a dealership that over a period of time that didn't have the potential to increase their profitability, both gross and net, in a pretty quick fashion.
I love that, and which is obviously super important. Dealers are busy working on the customers that are coming in, working on their internet strategies. A lot of times they're not paying enough attention to what actually might be causing that fallout, which has most of the time, from the experience I've had working in the space as long as I have, is training has always been something that makes a huge difference for them. And speaking about that, not every single day is a day that you can walk onto a dealership, and I'm sure over time, the 24 years, you've realized you've got to create resources for these dealers, and you've got some incredible stuff for these dealers online. Talk to me a little bit about your online training.
Well, I was actually the very first in the automotive space in online training, way before anybody really understood too much what it was. Dealers looked at me like I was crazy. I called it distance learning, and a lot of the dealerships didn't have T1 lines at that point. So first, they just didn't understand it. And then as it went along, it became more of a norm because people were looking for ways to credibly be able to train their people every single day and to do it in a quicker, better fashion. And I am not saying by any means this is the only way to train. I do not believe it is the only way to train. It's just part of your process. But we do have online training, and we have both sales and management modules. It's available 24/7. We have dealerships all over the country that access it every single day and utilize it as part of their plan. And so it covers a tremendous amount on the sales process or sales part. It covers people, it covers your process skills, it covers your sales skills, it covers your marketing skills, both social, online, how to prospect, offline, how to prospect, how to network, and it covers life skills. One of the things I found a long time ago, when you're training and working with salespeople, often the emphasis has always been on sales skills, and those are tremendously important. But I find that salespeople sometimes don't perform to their capacity or reach anywhere near, or even that they fail, often because of their life skills more than anything else. And what I mean by life skills is, can you gain and maintain a phenomenal selling attitude? Can you set the right goals and be able to achieve them, and even understand how your mind works, how your conscious and subconscious mind works to be able to affect your goals? Because if goal setting by itself works, and setting New Year's Eve resolution works, then 95% of New Year's Eve resolutions would come true rather than fail. So setting goals is not enough. Then we talk about action management. What do you do with your day? There's 1,440 minutes in every single day, and what you do with your actions during your day will determine your success with your attitude. So we try to affect change in multiple different ways through their sales skills or people skills or life skills. And then, as I mentioned earlier, with the manager and dealer, we look at their people, how to recruit, hire, train, retain, onboard, then motivate and educate people. We look at not only their people, but their process, their sales process, their desking deal process, their internet process, their BDC process, their inventory process. We give them ideas on how they can better work with their inventory on a daily basis. And then we look at their, we call their positioning. What is their position in the marketplace versus their competitors? And then also, whether it's online or offline, advertising, whether it's conventional or digital, how can we better affect sales and profits by doing a little bit better?
I absolutely love that. Well, you're coming to our show, Dallas, Texas, Hyatt Regency, September 6th, 7th, and 8th. Mark is going to be on stage. Mark, can you share with our listeners a little bit about what they're going to learn from your keynote?
The keynote is top 5 keys to successfully managing any dealership, and I'm going to say right up top there may be more than that, but I know after all these years of working with dealerships big and small, north, south, east, west, doesn't matter the country, doesn't matter anything, there's at least 5. And there's 5 things that really affect, and I won't go into detail all of them, but you got to be able to attract the right people, and how you do that today is a little bit different. So I'm going to give you some unique ideas on attracting and selecting the right people. Number 2, after that, how do you motivate people? And the best performers are self-motivated, but I'm going to also talk about what keeps the rest of your team, the 80% of your team, motivated, and how you could do that on a daily basis. Educating your people. It's not enough to train. You have to educate to where they can do it on their own. And then how do you give very clearly communicated expectations, which is deficient in almost every underperforming dealership that I ever see, that we don't have clearly communicated expectations. I'm going to walk you through what the best of the best do. And very importantly, one thing that I think is very much missing in the car business today as a general rule, accountability. Being able to hold people accountable for all types of things, not only the things they do in their job, but the results as well, and doing it in a way that makes sense for the business and for the team member as well.
Well, that's going to be quite a bit of good information in the time that you're up on stage. So everyone, listen close. Mark's been doing this with his team for 24 years. Successful dealerships across the country depend on his acumen, depend on his training. That is absolutely something that you need to consider. Don't hesitate to get a hold of Mark. Mark, how do we do that? If I want to get started with you, if I want to get into working with your training, working with your people, what's my first step?
You can contact us. You can either go to our website at tewart.com, TEWART.com. You can call us at 888-2-TEWART, which is 888-283-9278, or you can email us at info@tewart.com, and you can check me out on Twitter, Facebook. We're on all the social media. Google me. You'll find a bunch of pages. I'll be easy to find, but we'd love to chat with you. Love to hear from you. Love to talk to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. And I am excited to have you at our show. Very excited to be able to present this material to the dealers that are coming to our show. And I appreciate all the time that you've spent with us here today. Thank you, and you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.